Hello, heathens.
Hello, heathens.
It feels so good to be back talking. I know that there's not a lapse in time for you guys because Nicole and I are usually pretty on top of when we have other things going on of making sure we have an episode coming out each week. So sometimes we'll do two at like a day or something, and then we'll have like
Hmm.
some time in between. But God, I'm so happy to be back. I love this freaking podcast so much.
It's so great, and it's definitely something that I look forward to like every week. It's really cool to I don't know, dissect some of this stuff and take and talk to people that really want to go on this journey with us, and I think that's really special.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's also good because, like, I don't know if we've talked about this yet or not, but Nicole and I aren't working in the same building together anymore. And it's
Hmm.
been a little rough for me because, like, my person that, like, I can tell anything to and I don't get judged or, like, I just, like, I was telling Nicole before the podcast that I've been dealing with my anger because she's been convincing herself she's a peaceful monk and not an angry person. And we might live in Gaslight City again, like we
And we
ever
live in
left.
gas. Yes, we've never left because here we are.
Trying not to have permanent residence, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's just nice. I feel like it's nice to be able to sit down with her in any way. So I like appreciate the time with you too. So I had to say that.
Well, that's what's really nice about us being apart because we were so close, so together that not that that was bad at all, but it makes me really appreciate you and our time together now because it's so little.
Yes.
I'm not getting, my dose anymore, so I have to wait. I
God,
have to
same.
wait. I have to
Same.
wait. So I just keep swimming.
I'm gonna start running. I need to run.
I need to run. Oh, dude, get this. I got a story for swimming real quick.
Yes, tell us.
So last Friday, I was in the pool and it was busy. So everybody's in the lanes, right? There's even some people doubled up in some of the lanes. Like it's that busy. So I come in, there's a spot for me. I'm like, okay, are you okay with me swimming here? They were like, yes. I was like, okay. So we go in there and so we're swimming. We're all lap swimming, the whole pool, right? Well, I don't know if I feel like this is privilege, but I don't want to get on that bandwagon either. But I had this guy walk in to the pool from one of the other pools because this facility has like a huge lazy river, it has a huge hot tub. It's just a lot, which is great. Um, this guy walks into the lap pool like he is just gonna hang out while we're swimming.
And the lanes are all doubled up, so even some of them a little triple.
Yeah, yeah, like it's got that many people in there, and I'm like, dude, my dog, like I don't know what you're doing right now. So of course it's Friday. I'm a little spicy because I can be, and I feel really comfortable in the pool because I've been there like 5 days a week since November. Like I've been there, right?
Yeah,
So I've
this
put
is
my
your
time in
domain
it.
now.
It's my pool. So I first was like, and this goes to the anger thing too. Like, so the first thing is that I was like, not my pool, and I was like, okay, like you don't own the pool. This is like okay. So my first thing was just a drive by. So I swam by him and kind of like went around, but I also had to be careful because I'll hit somebody else in the other pool or the other lanes. So I swam around him a little bit, close enough, but not close enough to touch him. That's the important part, right?
Hmm.
And I go all the way down the deep end and I come back and he has made it his way to the wall in the deep end. So he's hanging on the wall, still just in the way. Like he has no fucks about anybody being there. It's like we didn't even exist. That's how he was doing it. I was like, okay, that's cool. So then because at this point I'm exercising. So so I swim back down and I come up from swimming onto the wall and I go to turn to push off the wall and go back. and I just stare at him. And then I go. Now, he didn't say anything. He just stared back like that was kind of thing. And I was like, now, the funny thing is his friend, he had a friend, a buddy, a little, he had came in, swam to the deep end, was like, I'm out of here. This is too much.
Well, yeah, because that's the level of self-awareness was not
But,
there.
okay, so like, I get back to the shallow end and I put my hand up and I'm like, God, this motherfucker. And then I look at the guy next to me and I'm like, do you think I'd get in trouble if I drowned him?
What did he
Like,
say?
the guy was like, oh my God. Like,
He's like, are we best friends now?
yeah, that's exactly what he said. Okay, so I was like, all right, well, fuck it. This is the third time as a charm kind of girl, is what I am. So here we go. So I'm barreling down the lane and I did a really aggressive flip turn right next to him. And then he left.
Good.
Uh, I am now the bully of the pool. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, but I was gonna say you might be the person that other people are like, hey, I'm scared to say something. Would you? You're the protector of the pool, is what it is.
I am. I am. I felt very much like a shark.
Yep.
I was like, doo doo,
Apex predator.
doo doo. I go, first of all, there's things I know. One of them is I know I can swim faster and better than you.
Also, like, I just, I would never. I can't imagine. Here's the thing is if I see all the lanes in the pool, the lane pool specifically for that, they're all busy. And yeah, sure, maybe I want to do a lap or two. Nah, I'll just go do it in the regular pool, like with all the loafers and the kids that want to play and stuff. Like, I'm not getting in this pool because why would I do? I'll go swim around the lazy river because also it's gonna help pull me around.
Right, exactly. Which is, I think that's where it came from. But it was just so, it was so funny because I was just like, the audacity of this guy. And I don't even use that word because I don't really know what it means. But I was like, the audacity, this fucker. And I'm like, bitch, I don't know who you thought you did. Like, I will
That's
pull.
just
And the funny thing is what I realized afterwards is that the lifeguards, they all saw this happen because, like, they see everything, right? They're the
yeah.
guardians of the pool. So,
Uh-huh. I wonder if they're like, hey, did you see that?
right, right. Yeah, I saw that girl do that. You know,
Like, good for her.
it was a good time. It was a good time. I had it. Oh, I left.
Yeah, I wanted to quickly say to you guys, bear with us. My internet connection's not the best today, so if there's like a pause, it's probably because our internet's not meshing well together
Oh my
today.
God, I wonder if it'll record me or record you.
Yeah, probably you, I would imagine. Or we'll both just be talking and we can't hear each other, and then you guys get to listen to both of us talking over each other. So either way, I hope you enjoy.
Good luck. Good
Good luck
luck.
today. Um, okay, so today we are talking about programming and deprogramming in the spiritual realm. Because in researching this, I found that I actually knew a lot more than I thought I did. One, and two, if you type in programming, even programming in life, quote unquote, you get computer programming courses. So that's not what we're speaking about today. So today we're talking about spiritual programming and deprogramming. And
Mhm.
I'm going to let Nicole have the floor for a minute because she's going to tell you guys our intentions behind today's podcast and why we're talking about this.
Okay, so today's intentions for programming, deprogramming, because I don't want to get it, we don't want to get it crossed. We're not trying to do anything. We're trying to make you aware of things in yourself and your habits that you can either you can destroy and regrow something in that place. So our in, Because basically what it is what we want you to do is if you have a habit that you're not aware of and you do something like get angry or um, say something that might be a little egotistical or say something that you regret later, these are the times when you that you could, if you wanted to go back and like, okay, so I don't want to do that again because I don't want to feel like this anymore.
Hmm.
So then we'll go back and we'll kind of like look at that and like actually see what else we could do and try to practice and make that a habit instead of like food.
Exactly. And what I'll add to that is, you know, in research, and I also saw both sides of the coins, and they're pretty extreme when it comes to deprogramming. And one side is that you have to join this cultish view of deprogramming, otherwise, you're not going to make anything out of your spiritual path, out of your journey, out of your healing. You can't do anything if you don't deprogram everything that's been programmed into you. And the other side
Mm-hmm.
of that is that, you know, um, it's a hippie cause, it's a woke thing, you know, all the words to invalidate this I, g- I don't want to say
Well,
movement, but this
it's
practice is
a
what I should
trend,
say. Yeah,
really.
that
Like,
it's a
yeah.
trend. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. There's a lot of we talk about this a lot, mostly with words because we do break down specific words a lot, but this is another one where I feel like there's a lot of woo around it, a lot of mist and haze, and it can get really fucky. And we're just trying to break it down, make it easy, and tell you like what it is and when you would use this and why.
Mm-hmm.
When things that I've seen that I wanted to talk about to be aware of too that are just like a programming that you can be aware of so you know what's happening because there's just so much bullshit around this topic. If I am being blunt, which I usually am, and I'm over it. It's another one that I'm over. It's again like other words that get used and used as weapons. This could be another one. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to also say that we're going to be breaking it down in other types of deep programming and deprogramming as well too. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Um, we I guess like I didn't realize that this was going to be such a hot topic, but now that you bring that stuff up, like the woke thing even, it's interesting because what it just hit me on was of course they're yelling because they don't want things to change. And if you are aware and start to change things,
Mhm.
then that means that, everything that they worked for is going away.
Yes, absolutely. Very well said.
I was like, "Damn."
So I guess to jump into it based off what you just said too, it goes along with how I would simply describe programming. And to me, programming is caused by our fear. It's these sets of rules, these rights and wrongs, what we can and can't do, all these things that we have programmed in as rules, right? It's like boundaries, it's like codes in our brain of like, oh, we're going to do this. Well, we can't do this when we do that. Otherwise, it's going to be wrong and it's going to be bad. And even though it doesn't feel wrong and it doesn't feel
Mm-hmm.
bad, and I really want to
Mm-hmm.
do that, we can't. It's caused by our fear as well as the fear of others. And this does not go without saying that we can't tell you what's right or wrong for you, right?
That's not what we're here for. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do that. And so we're not going into super specifics here when we talk about this today. But essentially, we've been told what to think and how to be for a very long time. Honestly, since we were kids, which Nicole and I were talking about this before the podcast started today too, is that some of that we need, right? Like we need to know that if we put our hand on the hot stove, it's going to burn us because we don't really want third-degree burns to learn that that's hot and like we shouldn't touch that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's that can be as simple as a program. That's something that's programmed in you that when something's hot, you don't touch it. It
Right.
doesn't have to be all these big, huge things. That can it to break it, make it so simple. That's a program.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
by starting the path of spiritual deprogramming, we're talking about starting to open ourselves up and embracing what's true to us while resisting the attempts of control. Um, and that leads us into a road of spiritual freedom. Does that make
Right.
sense? Did I say that right?
Yeah. Because
Okay,
what
cool.
you want to do is think for yourself, right? Like that's our main purpose is not to just be like, well, I can't do that because I'm a woman and I have to, bear babies and blah, blah, blah. And like that's a program, right? Like that's what,
Hmm.
and there's so much noise around all of this that it is going to be very interesting for you to kind of detangle it because this is something that you really have to do on your own and it's going to be your own like science experiment. So like if I notice that I eat sugar because I don't feel good and it makes like if I'm depressed and I eat sugar to make me feel better, then that's a program of mine because of my bringing up, right? Like my
Yeah.
trauma, all that stuff that I've already got inside here. So I have to find a way to not necessarily, and again, like I'm trying to do this with compassion and not trying to shame and guilt something and motivate people by shame and guilt or punishment. So that also means by myself too. So I got to figure out how to stop eating the sugar that's bad for my body, but then also not punish myself for doing it either. So these are the things that I've been really trying to figure out.
Yeah. I feel like that's such a great like example of like how simple programming can be because it can get really sticky and really messy, right? And like it can get bigger and things like an example of a big one for me was that witchcraft was the devil and the devil was bad. And my views of that now are just drastically different, drastically different. And I have
Mhm.
different beliefs behind all of it. Even Christianity. I left one programming that Christianity was the only way, and I left to another one that this was the only way. And now I have a meshing of the two where like I really enjoy the esoteric version of the Bible and learning that. And like that has
Mhm.
been a really cool thing to learn. And like it's been a lot of I feel like when we talk about deprogramming programs, it's not as simple as a code. It's almost like a freaking ball of yarn that's been, tied in 100 million ways. And you can't just pull one string because then it makes it tighter and now you're
Mhm.
stressing it out
Yeah.
and like it's gonna hurt a little. And so like you gotta go through and like unweave everything to start finding out, oh, hey, this was where this line was or this end was, Does that it
Well,
that makes sense?
yeah. I mean, even like with the people that call you woke, um, sometimes, of course, they're going to call you names and bully you because you're changing, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like I don't know, it kept hitting me that I have to say something about the woke part because I feel like that I forgot, I didn't realize that those two went together, really. I think I was surprised by that. But it makes sense now. It's like a whole thing just blew up in my head because I was like, oh, what? Um, it's almost like, when we watch those movies where somebody's like following a trail and they're met with all these adversity like things, like either they have to build a bridge or to get to the cross the river because they have to save or they have to do a conquest of some sort.
Yeah,
So
Lord of the
they're,
Rings.
yeah, yeah. So like, Um, and the closer they got to where they were supposed to be, the more people started yelling to like, go back, don't go this way, like you're too far. It's those naysayers or those or threshold guardians when you're on the right track that are telling you to go back the other way. And you have to use your mind and your skills to like, oh, am I going to be scared about going forward or am I going to turn around and go back where I came from? Go back to sleep.
Hmm. And I'll add to that because I actually had this written down too, that even in the spiritual community, in every community, you're going to have gatekeepers. Some are good gatekeepers, and they're there to make sure that you're safe. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
are bad gatekeepers, and they're there to tell you that what rings true to you isn't right. There's only one right way, and that's my way.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's another version of this, like the naysayers, where it's like, sure, you might be on this path and you might be learning it, but if you're not learning it and walking in my exact footsteps, you're wrong, even though, your path could be just as beautiful and you could gain more knowledge in this that I hadn't seen either.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a big thing about the generations too, because I feel like a lot of people, um, and I hate to like, this is the best way I'm gonna be able to say it, but the older generations want everything, they want everything to be in their place and everything has a place and, you don't mess anything up and you act like you haven't, like after they leave their house, it looks like nobody's lived there, you know?
Hmm.
And instead they call us, like, if I don't fit that mold, then I'm lazy. I don't care about myself, or like, there's all these things that I'm not, because I don't look, my place doesn't look like, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's funny because like you get to a point where you're like, well, that's the way my life looks.
Yeah. Hmm.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm a wizard and my house shows it.
Same. I'm like, you can't see in my bedroom right now, but same. My altar, she's got her own flow, and I
Oh,
let her
right.
have her own flow. And she picks
Hmm.
up what she wants when she wants it, and then all of a sudden I'm like, you're not supposed to be here anymore, and then I have to move something. It's a living, breathing being.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
honestly, spiritual freedom starts to happen like what you just were describing as spiritual freedom. And it starts to happen when we realize that we have a choice in what we believe and practice and who we are and what we choose to do. And it's almost like, I don't know, it's like a weight off your shoulders where you're like, okay, you know what? This is my life and this is what I believe in and this is what I want to practice. And it's okay because like I don't have to prove myself to anybody because there's
Hmm.
also like I feel like what goes along with programming and why we follow, programs or um and what comes along within deprogramming is this fear to disappoint people because people
Yeah.
pleasing
Or be
so
alone.
yeah,
Being alone
being
is a big one.
shunned, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
It we get scared about that stuff because that sucks, right? And like especially if
Hmm.
you are not in a emotional place to be able to be comfortable in that, to be comfortable in disappointing others because you realize you're not responsible for their feelings, or being comfortable being alone and being with your own thoughts and yourself. If you're
Hmm.
not in those places, this kind of stuff can be scary to like get away from something that you don't believe in
Oh,
or
yeah. When
something.
you're deprogramming yourself, like that's a scary place because you don't have the trail that's been led for you.
Yeah.
It's all different. And you're like, am I going the right way?
Heck
Is
yeah.
this what this looks like? I mean, like sometimes I look like a mess and I'm sitting on the floor crying.
Well, and I feel like even, I mean, also same.
Hmm.
So same. I've been sick this last, like you could still hear it a little bit. I'm a little nasally. I have not seen Nicole, but I think I might have gotten the same thing she got because it's just been going around where I was like
Hmm.
dying on the couch. My house was a mess and I was a mess. And I was like, well, sitting on the couch and I'm like, yeah, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. I'm just
Absolutely.
supposed to be right here in my
No,
filth, just
it's
rotting.
right. I'm just rotting now. Yeah, because I was like, you get in your head because you're like, I'm a bad person. I didn't do laundry. I got to do this. I didn't die. I got to cancel my clients. And then I'm like, no, nope. This is where you're supposed to be.
Yeah,
Like, nope, we are not going to feel guilty about. Like, I had to deprogram myself because I was taught it doesn't matter if you're sick, you get up and go. You do it. You push through
absolutely.
it. And so I feel guilty when I do take time like that. So that's one of the deprogrammings that I was working on, is really telling myself It's okay to sit here.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that. This is the time when you're supposed to sit here and watch TV. It's allowed because really there's nothing besides a nap. That's the only thing you can do.
Yeah. I mean, I could barely like I was so sick. I couldn't like get up because if I got up, I was like my head feels like ugh,
Pressure.
it's got like so many bricks in it just like hanging. Um
Hmm.
so I feel you because I was like God, I just like have to give myself this grace, this freedom to be this like it's okay. You don't have to be doing anything else because I'm the same way. It was just like there's this like hustle culture is a program as well. And I
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much struggle with that one to where it's like if I take a day off, I should be picking a day up. If I'm sick, too bad, push through. Like nobody cares.
Hmm.
People need their hair done. You need to make money. Like all this stuff, just like this constant push in my head, like where I'm like, I know what I need to be doing is this. This is what's going to help me in the long run
Hmm.
is if I rest
Hmm.
and I give myself the compassion to take care of myself. That's a hard one to fight, is like
Hmm.
the programming of hustle culture.
Yeah, it's a real thing because that's exactly what, I'm a working class kind of girl, and that's just what you do. It doesn't matter. You always got to go in. You always got to do this. People are counting on you. You can't disappoint people. Like, and it's a
Mhm.
real program that, like, even to the fact, like, it's so programmed in me that, like, I'm mad at Rob, my husband, when he's sick. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I have to really, like, because yes, he is a baby. We all know that. But I also don't need to be like a certain way towards him, right?
Y-
Annoyed is really what it comes down to. It's just being like,
You're preaching to the choir, sis. I'll give you guys this too, because I'll add to Nicole's thing. Um, when Jordan switches to a different job, he has to take like a week of R&R.
mm-hmm,
And it frustrates me and I get annoyed and and then I like I'm like, why am I getting so upset about this? Like, good for him. He's taking a week to decompress from that one so he's ready for the new one. Why am I not like proud of him for
mm-hmm,
doing what's best for him? Or I don't know, all these other things I could be doing, but then your girl just gets frustrated because I have this program of we work and we work hard in me. And this like
mm-hmm,
I always mask it with drive. I have a
mm-hmm.
super strong working drive,
Yep.
ridiculously strong, to where this is why Nicole and I have our hands in things all the time. I have my
Mm-hmm.
hands in the wedding business. I have my hands in doing hair. I have my hands in the podcast. I have my hands in, this or that, or I want to start another thing. That do I have the time for? No. But do I gaslight myself into thinking I do? Yes, because my drive to
Fuck
work
yeah,
is
I
so much
do.
stronger.
I'm not doing enough. Well, and that what I've been researching on that one is I think it's because I don't feel like I'm enough. So I'm always doing more than I should. And I'm
I don't like
like
that.
I was at Christmas time and I remember like gathering the gifts that I bought for people, right? And I'm like, this isn't enough. I need to go out. Maybe I can go to Myers before I go to my parents' house and like pick up a couple more things. You know, that was a real thought in my fucking head. And then I stopped and was like, "God damn."
Yeah, that's a huge one that I fight
Mm-hmm.
every year, even with clients, because I've mostly stopped giving gifts other than Nicole, Trinity, and Rob because
Mm-hmm.
for me that's it's one of my favorite thing to do now that has become tradition in our little family is Christmas morning
Mm-hmm.
with Nicole, Trinity, and Rob. It's my favorite thing ever. It feels like Christmas morning when I was a kid where you eat and you play games and you open presents
Yeah.
and there's not this like I get to come looking like trash and in pajamas, and I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kid at Christmas morning. It's beautiful. And outside of that, I am the reason my family quit doing Christmas presents because we were not good. We're not like We're a close family. We're there for each other in that way, but we're not that close to where I know exactly what would be a great present for you type deal. And it was just
Right.
getting a little ridiculous where we're spending all this money instead of just enjoying time and we're worried about presents. Who cares? We're all adults. We have no kids in the family. Everybody was grown. I was like, we should just do, if you guys really want to do anything, we'll just get gift cards and play games for them or something. Like I
Yeah.
that is something I fight every year and I still fight it within myself too, where I'm like, you don't have to spend, 2 months worth of paychecks on every person buying them a gift. Otherwise, they're not going to know that you love them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like
Ugh.
like I have enough stuff and like the fact that you're going to give me more stuff that I probably am going to put in the garage sale next year is, but I can't put it in our garage sale because I don't want you to feel bad. So then,
Yeah.
like it's just so
There's a
I
lot of
agree with
holidays
that.
like that.
Yeah.
Like Valentine's Day for me, the only reason I celebrate when I do is because it's Nicole's and Rob's anniversary. And if we go out together, we go out together. Other than that, I have no interest in celebrating it because
Hmm.
I just it's to me, it's a Hallmark holiday and it's beautiful for some. And if you love it, that's totally cool. I support you. But for me, I'm like, I don't want to spend money on chocolate for Jordan that he's not going to eat.
Right.
Or like, I don't know, a mug that I don't want in our house because it's not going to match the aesthetic. It's a consumer. You have to buy, you have to show that you love somebody
Yeah.
because you're buying stuff. It's not because it feels good to you, it's what you do out of obligation. That's a program.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's the same thing of like, and the funny thing is if you don't do what you're programmed to do, how bad you feel. So if I don't get you
Yes.
a gift, I clearly don't love you
Obviously not.
or like care for you or appreciate you or any of that stuff because I didn't get you a gift that day or whatever, right? Like that's exactly what that's exactly what the programming is. If you
Hmm.
didn't follow the program, then you got this backup program that comes in and goes, so now the shame and guilt comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's so funny. Have not thought about this. You just like, again, we're really quick because this is like what's happening is Nicole and I actually realized we know more about this topic than we thought we did, so we didn't need that much support content to help us like with talking content today. And you just made me think of how I just have never thought about how many layers there are to the programs we have and why they're so instilled and
Hmm.
like everything behind them. Because I didn't think
Well,
about how the first program's that you have to be buying presents for somebody or they don't love you. And then if you're like, no, I'm not doing that. You're right. The second one just kicks right in. And it's like, well, how dare you? You're a bad person. They're never going to know that you love them. They do not think you love them.
right, right, because I didn't show my whatever with this $95 trinket.
Yeah. I didn't buy them Bath and Body Works lotion and fucking body wash.
Right, right. And it's like it's so tired. It's like I mean, gift giving it should be, from the heart, and it should be like, and think about all the time that we have together more than like. And I know that sounds really like hallmarky and like, I just want to spend time with you. But if we think about like living and dying, time is our most precious asset.
Yo bitches love some good Hallmark movies, so
No,
don't knock
I
them.
do. No,
Because
no,
I was gonna say,
I,
if you guys
no,
know us,
I
you
know.
know we fuck with a good horror movie. Ooh, the scarier the better, because like it's hard to get scared over here. But I will also, you catch me with the Hallmark channels on, girl, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. Like, catch me up. I need to know because like those movies will, oh, they get you. Oh, they'll get you.
I can't watch them. I can't watch them. I am a wreck. I have to go to therapy after them.
Sobbing babies. Sobbing babies.
Yeah. I'm like, because my window, my threshold is only about this big. Any higher than that, and I'm crying.
Yeah.
Any lower than that, and I'm crying. So really, I just sit through the whole movie like this.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, we cry at Disney movies, so but you will catch me if there's a good Hallmark movie on, I will be watching it. You know,
No, that's why I go over to Nana's house is so I can like watch the Hallmark with her. Actually, funny thing is, there's a Hallmark series called something about time. So it's Hallmark and it's a little like time travel-y.
Ooh,
It's super cool.
I could get with that.
If you can find it off of my breadcrumbs that I just scattered around, good luck. I watched it over Nana's house, so I don't know what I was watching really.
Watch, I'll find it once we get off.
Hmm.
There was
I
something I was
figured you
gonna
would.
say to what you were saying, but then I was like, well, your bitches love small Hallmark movies, and of course, Squirrel ran through my head. So,
He's like, fine.
yeah, what were you saying? And you were just saying something about like, I know that sounds Hallmarky, but if
Oh,
not,
time. Time being the most precious thing that we have to give.
yeah, that's what you were saying. You were talking about gift giving. We're still in that. I wanted something I started doing, that I would say try doing this if you feel guilty about like the whole gift giving at Christmas. And it will start changing that program, rewriting it a little, is randomly give gifts throughout the year. It's my favorite thing to do. I personally am a gift giver. I love gift giving, and it's not so much
Hmm.
about like the praise. It's just the fact that I found something that I know you would love so much, and I just want to see you have that moment of happiness, and it's not about me giving you the gift. It's about you getting this thing that you were like, I didn't know I'd
Yeah.
want this, or I didn't know how much I'd love this. It's so much
Hmm.
more fun. And I think that really does help me too to combat that program specifically is just trying to do something different to get out of it. Because it could feel so less gross, so
Hmm.
less guilty, shameful if that's something you still want to do is just gift giving. Because it's fun. But
Yeah, the random gift giving is it's natural, it's amazing. Like it's usually something small, like a keychain or something. It's always something you want, but you would never buy for yourself. I feel like that's what it is, right? Like,
absolutely, absolutely. Or it's
hmm.
like something, like one of the get gosh, I know we're getting off track here, but like one of the best gifts that Nicole's ever gotten me that I still love so much, and it probably didn't even realize how big this was for me, but back in quarantine, Nicole and I were chatting one day, and she was like, "Dude, you got to read this comic that I found on Webtoons." And I'm like, "Shut the fuck up! Is it Laura Olympus?" And she was like, "Yes!" And we were freaked out because we were like, "Dude, how did we both find this? Not know that we
Right,
found this together?"
right.
And Nicole for Christmas one year got me the freaking books. And
Uh-huh.
I just, those are those ones that I don't even want to crack open because if that spine creases at all, I'm going to be so sad because that is a cherished, like, little comic for me. And it's like things like that where I didn't even think about it. I wouldn't even have
Hmm.
thought about it. And she got that for me. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting that for her because I know she's gonna want it too. And then
Yeah,
like being,
yeah.
she bought that for me, being like, I want these. It's fine.
Right,
I'll
right.
just get these for her, and I'll come back later for myself. So then I ended up getting her
That's
them too.
exactly what, yeah.
And that was a good point though. Is like random gift giving. It's probably something that you would want too. So then it's like, I don't know. It's just such a good energy exchange. But anyways, back to like
Hmm.
the actual
Like
content
programming.
here.
Yeah.
One that I wanted to talk to you about too, because I wanted to get your thoughts on this too, is um mo moving in along with the lines of programming is can be very fear-based. There there there's a lot of programming that shows its face but hasn't set in yet when you move into a new practice. Um, like
Hmm.
such as when it comes to witchcraft, believing there's only one right way to practice witchcraft of any form
Right,
or
right.
any form of spirituality. It's a symptom, that's a symptom of spiritual programming as well. And obviously there's caveats to that, like dabbling, that's not the same as, finding your own form
Well,
of a
no,
practice.
that's the thing is if you're actually doing the practice, you're not going to conjure anything that you can't handle because you're doing it properly. You're not
Yes.
skipping ahead and being like, oh, let's do this when like that's 3 years in, bitch. Like,
Yeah,
slow down, right? Like,
exactly. You're not gonna blow your chakra out in a high magic because you
yeah,
did all the foundational blocks to get there.
which I did do that. I did blow down.
Yeah, well,
I was
also,
trying to move a hurricane. Okay, it's fine.
I was gonna say she also has a save a whole complex, okay? So
I do. I do.
she's gonna be the hero, dude.
I was gonna save all of New
Yeah, you were. That's so funny.
York.
But I want to talk about like that's normal to feel. I want to make sure that you guys that when it comes to this, like we talk about it because there is that fear, that spiritual programming that comes in that like you can't come off the path and like this thing that keeps eating at the bed, it's talking, that's a voice right here and it's telling you, hey, do this to that candle. Buy that tarot deck. Tarot decks is a great example. This is actually what I meant, where I meant to go with this too. There's this big gatekeepy comment about how you are not allowed to buy your first tarot deck. It
Yeah, it
has to
has
be
to be
given.
given to you.
Yes, and that is absolute trash. We've talked about this before, and
Mhm.
if that hurts your feelings and you've told somebody that I'm sorry, but it's trash. It's trash. You cannot tell people that because if you have a spirit guide and you don't realize that a spirit guide is here telling you you need that deck, buy that deck, and the whole time you're at the store and you're like, this deck is like it's gonna be I can't, but I'm not allowed to, and like I'm scared what if something happens, it's bad, and all these things. That is
Yeah.
spiritual programming and that's normal, but this is where we're talking about not letting that set in, not letting that
Hmm.
program set in because you're trusting yourself, you're trusting your intuition, you're trusting your guides. That's that spiritual freedom. Buy the deck.
Right. Well, because we do that a lot with like, oh, I'm gonna get in trouble, or I'm gonna do something wrong, or I remember it was something about like if you I read something, this was a long, long time ago, that if you wore somebody else's like birthstone, because I'm a Capricorn, I'm only supposed to wear granite, apparently. Garnet, not granite.
Great. I said, did you just see me? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, granite, for
It didn't
sure.
click in. I was like, yeah, I know which one you're talking about. And I
Yeah.
didn't even think about the name.
I was like, oh shit. Um, that it would be bad or something like that. And
Something,
like
yeah.
I carried that little nugget around with me for a while until I was like, that's dumb.
Oh
But
my God, me
at
too.
first you don't know, right? You're like, oh, well, I can't, I just have to wear garnet. Like that's it. Like, okay. But like,
That's so funny, Nicole. I've never thought about that ever because I did the same thing. Mine's
hmm
September, it's sapphire. Sapphires are pretty, but blue sapphires, they're not my biggest eye catch. And so I was like,
hmm
but that's the only one I'm allowed to wear because I was
but
born in
that's the only one.
September and like I'm not
Yeah.
allowed to wear anything else. And diamonds are for brides only. You're not supposed to wear that unless you're a bride. And it's
Yeah.
so funny. I've never thought about that.
Well, even like they talk about if the funny thing is if we talk about crystals like that, like your diamond, your rubies, and your emeralds are your highest vibrations. And usually that's why kings and queens had them, because it would actually sustain their life force a little better for longer.
Mm.
And that's why they would have rubies and emeralds. Like those are big energy things.
I wonder is sorry again, side road, but um I wonder was what's the one that's on your ring? Your one that runs away all the time? Yeah.
Moldavite?
Moldavite. Isn't that extreme high vibration as well?
Yeah.
I wonder, did they have that back then? And you know what I mean? We always hear, you're right, about rubies and diamonds and emeralds, but we
They
never hear about
probably
Moldavite.
did, but it's only in Czechoslovakia, I think. And
Oh, yeah, okay.
so it would only be
They wouldn't have really
there.
been distributing that.
Mm-mm. I mean, they could have been, but like we'd have to really go down that rabbit hole and see what the history of like how they found it and what they did with it and when it became popular.
Huh. Guess
Besides
who
with TikTok.
guess who's gonna be researching that later? Because now she's excited about a new rabbit hole again.
I got a rabbit hole. Oh, that's all
Oh,
right. I have a side journey that I want to go with you on
okay.
to Kentucky.
Are
Because
you talking about the Mammoth Caves?
there's Kentucky gremlins down there.
You know what's so funny? And it just like feel like I have somebody like right here, like, haha, okay. Because it all just came in really fast. Um, I will not step foot in the Appalachians. No interest, none. You're talking gremlins down in a cave? Sure, sign me up. I'm down. Let's go. That's why I had somebody go, okay. Because like it was like the biggest contradiction ever. I'm like, there's a Bigfoot, I'll go. But like you're telling me about the S walk, no, we're not going there. We're not doing Appalachian, but I'll go down in the ground in a cave to see some gremlins. Sure.
Well, I think I'm gonna have. I don't think I know Trent's not gonna go with me, and I figured at this point I'm just gonna go by myself.
Oh
I
shit,
need to go. I need to go do some spooky shit.
I did the
I need
mammoth
to.
caves when I was young, but I didn't do them to go gremlin hunting.
Yeah, there's a whole thing online about the Kentucky gremlins, so there's a rabbit hole for you to just fall down.
You guys can catch me in the ether somewhere really deep, far in a dark corner, just like this, like scrolling.
Yeah, no,
Come
there
back, my eyes are huge and
it's
red shot. And I'm like, I learned so much stuff.
great. Okay, so I've narrowed it down to these three cave systems,
I have
and
coordinates. I've learned all the secret passageways. I know how to get in and how to get out. I know what we need to bring.
oh yeah, yep. No, there's a group that we've been watching, and episodes season thing. I don't know what you call it, but anyway, episodes are called Hellier, which is a rural town in Kentucky.
Hmm.
And there's two seasons to it. And it's about this paranormal group going down there, getting these not only emails, but synchronicities along the way. And like it's a wild ride. It's a wild ride. It's really good. In fact, Rob and I have been watching it every night, and Rob's like totally into it.
Oh shit. Daddy-O's
He's not
going
gonna
with
go down.
us?
No,
Oh.
he's not going down there with me, but
You know what? There's so many things that Nicole and I want to do, and maybe when we get the Patreon going, we can get you guys all signed up. We'll all go as a group because, like, there, Nicole needs people to go to the Appalachians with. Appalachians.
I don't need nobody. I could just like
Yeah,
walk
she needs
around.
people. And
I'll get one of those little air tags and I'll just put it on me and then I'll be fine. And then you'll know where I am.
then for like 24 hours, it doesn't move, and I'm like, "Hello." It's
Ma'am,
just your air tag on the ground.
ma'am,
Tink.
it's me.
Hello. Um. Okay, last thing I had before I have tips on how to like overcome some of this programming, especially spiritual programming, is that I want to also say that spiritual programming shows up to discredit our individual experience. And
Hmm.
that feels like it could be a zing, but it is factual and it's not meant to be a zing. If it feels like that, I commend you to look into that. But spiritual programming shows up to discredit our individual experience. So much so
Absolutely.
that we know
Absolutely.
that what we know to be true ends up needing some sort of external validation now.
It's the ultimate gaslight.
Dude, I was gonna say, so what is that? Ultimate, ultimate form of gaslight is something that you know to be as true as your right hand is your right hand. You now need to be like, is this my right hand?
Right.
And it's like, what? Yeah, what do you, who made you question if that's your right hand? Like
Hmm.
you'll have people screaming in your head, spirit guides, animal guides, whoever, ancestors. They'll be like, stop, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're gonna be like, I don't know. I need to ask somebody else. I need to ask somebody else because I need external validation now because I have been so programmed to be it's discrediting to our personal experience. I'll get off this
No, and
soapbox.
that's very truthful. It's a very good point on the whole thing because I didn't even think about it like that. But you're so right because think about all the things that we won't say out loud just because we know it's true, but because it's not a popular opinion,
uh,
it's been discredited, bullied, or laughed at. Like think about paranormal is a very perfect way of like talking about this because like if I believe in the paranormal and I tell you I had this experience and you don't believe or you're scared or what you don't want to talk about it, you're completely discrediting my personal thing. And even so forth, telling that I'm crazy and delusional, right? Like,
oh God, yeah. Like another good example is there's a lot of people in spiritual communities that don't work with deity. They won't do it. And so if you have an experience with a deity, they discredit it. It's spiritual programming that they have that they're pushing onto you.
absolutely.
Even witchcraft to down to the simplest forms of you know, well, I guess none of it's simple, so let me take that back because I was like, what's simple? To me, something simple is making a sigil, reading tarot. To me, it's a simple form for me. And so even that could be you did it wrong and you're not using
Hmm.
that right. And your
Hmm.
belief, like, why would you believe that about a tarot card? And it's like because I've had a completely different experience and I know that to be true. Like
Hmm.
Nicole and I doing our initiatory year with Rocky, where we got to learn the tarot cards in a very vastly different way than most people talk about them. And it is so it rings true to my soul, like what we experienced.
Hmm.
It was
Hmm.
super powerful, especially the first time we did it. But then talking about that thing with people can be super discrediting. It can be very like that's just not like that's not a thing or like why would you like I've never heard of anybody talk about that before. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, but I experienced it. So, but they can discredit
Right.
you, bully you, like you said, make you feel so unsure about what you experienced to the point that now you need that validation of we did experience that, right? Like that was real, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the funny thing is like with magician and magic, like that kind of stuff, like that is very much that's why you keep silent, is
Hmm.
because you know what you know and you don't need the outer input. Not only that, if I tell you that I did a spell for gaining my one true love, and then you were like, yeah, but did you? Are you? Are you sure about that? And then it pops the bubble almost before it's ready to actually be mature.
Yeah, to bring it even outside of the spiritual realm and into the day to day, me as a hairdresser, I say this very often because I'm very comfortable in it and I won't fight it, but it's just who I am. I tell clients often, I am a very unpopular, opinionated hairdresser. Um, I don't think you need a haircut every time. Something as simple as that. Like, if you don't need a haircut and your hair is doing well, why would I keep cutting you every 6 weeks? You're not going to grow. That's an unpopular opinion for most. There's some unpopular opinions that I'm very comfortable with. And you know what? If you as another hairdresser want to fight it, I'll listen. But dude, I'll listen to your thing and I'll say, okay, I get where
Yeah,
you're coming from. And
yeah.
it's just as simple as that because I have no need to fight
Prove
your
myself.
programming.
Right. I don't have to prove myself to you.
Nope.
That's how well
Freedom.
I know it. Yeah.
I have freedom in it, man.
I mean, this was a big thing when COVID was around and we were all up in arms about like the shot was just coming out and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't really, I was on the fence about it. I didn't feel like I wanted to get it. And it was my own opinion. Now, that being said, I never once told anybody not to get it. I
Mhm.
I supported my friends in whatever decision they were making for them because I knew it was right for their bodies and their ideas and their, you know, all that stuff. Like I supported every single one of them because I
Mhm.
want the same thing from them. And me telling them what to do about they if they should or shouldn't get it is none of my fucking business because I A am not a doctor. B, what if I'm fucking wrong?
Yep.
I'm like, I just, like this is for me. And if I'm wrong, it's okay because it's just hurting me.
Right. That, and that's what, speaking on that, I used to say all the time because, it was for us as hairdressers, it was a very big talking point when we came back. It was
Mm-hmm.
hard to
Mm-hmm.
navigate at first until I found my footing in the fact that, you know, I will talk to you about your like whatever you want to talk about when it comes to the choice of others. I will not talk about that because
Right.
I believe so much in body autonomy to the point that I think everybody's doing what's best for themselves. And you might think that that's
Absolutely.
selfish. I don't care either way.
That's your opinion.
It's your
That's
opinion.
okay. You
I
can have an
support
opinion.
everybody in their own personal choices with their
Absolutely.
body.
Well, the big thing that rang through at this time was my choice doesn't make your choice wrong,
Uh-huh, yeah.
right? Like just because we're not agreeing doesn't make your choice wrong. I don't have to validate your opinion
Yep.
or your choices, you know? That's not my job. Like I don't have to. Just because I said no to it doesn't make yours any less true.
And what's so funny about that is on the flip side, you didn't need their validation, nor did you ask for it. And that's what we were hoping. It's a beautiful
Mm-hmm.
example of what we're hoping to achieve with this is that
Mm-hmm.
when you feel something feels true to you, when something is so valid in your experience that you are able to stand sure in it, that you are able to stand comfortably in it, just as Nicole did, where it was like, I'm not going to push that my belief is true on you. I'm not going to push anything on you. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
respect your choice as well. And you know what? If you don't respect mine, that's fine. We don't have to
Mm-hmm.
converse about it because I'm sure in my choice for myself. And that is, again, this
Mm-hmm.
freedom that we're talking about when it comes to like the deprogramming,
Mm-hmm.
the getting away from all these things, these fears, these limitations on yourself and what rings true to you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah, that's very how to do
Nicest said, whoever said that. Um,
it.
I do have some tips
Tips and
and
tricks.
tricks and some things I want you guys to think about in overcoming like different kinds of programming. Specifically, I'm talking more about like spiritual programming and interpersonal programming. Because some of these I didn't realize helped me. And when I read one of these, I was like, oh my God, this is a good one. Um, the first one is do an inventory of your spiritual practices. Now we have a listener who blew my mind. Meredith, I believe is her name.
Mm-hmm.
And Meredith, we can't comment back on Spotify, and I want to talk to you. So if you jump on our YouTube and put your comment there too, we can respond because you blew my mind with your last comment on one of our episodes. She did this. She took an inventory of her spiritual practices. She put all of her beliefs in AI, and what it gave
Oh,
back to
that's
her
right.
was a equation, a math equation. I want to know so bad, Meredith, what you put in to AI to get a um math equation, but that's neither here nor there, of course, because it is your personal
Is it
experience. But
is it numerology or is it like
she put all of her beliefs in AI. She did what this Miss this tip is. She took an inventory of everything, but she chose to put it in AI to see what path it would put her on. And it did, it put her on a path. I don't have the comment pulled up right now, but it was really
Yeah, it was on
interesting.
Buddhist.
To,
Buddhist.
to, to, Toism, Toism, something like that. I'd have to look for it. But she did this, and I think this is a good one to overcome spiritual programming and all those boundaries and these fears is writing down a list. And then if you don't want to do the AI thing, of course that's up to you, because like
Yeah.
I just thought that was phenomenal. I still want to do that to see what it gives me, like what path it thinks I'm on. um but what you want to do is after you take this inventory of spiritual practices, you want to look at which one feels really true to you. And do you do some just because someone said to? Okay, that's another one. And then my third question is, which one brings you freedom? Which one brings freedom to you personally,
Mm-hmm.
for you?
Mm-hmm.
I think those three questions right there are going to help you to get out of spiritual programming and what you should be doing and get you into
Mm-hmm.
what feels good for you and true to you.
Mm-hmm. Because what we're trying to do is change our trajectory. So if I was born to middle class um, parents and I was expected to, carry on that lineage, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then, well, but it doesn't ring true to me. It's very much like the Buddhist story is that he was supposed to be a king. He was a prince. He was born a prince, but he needed to go out and do like some sort of spiritual awakening or teaching. And that was the journey he went down, was trying to figure out where enlightenment was.
Yes. I feel like it's just such a good spot to start. Especially if
Mm-hmm.
you're somebody who's been in this for a while, you feel like you get lost. You feel like now you have all these rules and boundaries, these things where it's like, I can't do this. But I also can't go and do this because then I still have this. And like, it's good to get you back on the path. It's good to get you back on a path that feels good to you and takes away all the outside expectations and
Mm-hmm.
what's the word I want? The discredit, the things that have discredited you from your path, you know?
Right, right.
Um, my next one is creating space for the new in your life. Because when you start deprogramming, it's going, you have to allow that space to be given. Because you might have to give up something that you don't like,
Mm-hmm.
but stick with because you don't want to be alone,
Right.
if that
Which
makes
is what,
sense.
yeah, it does, because like Trinity is going through something like this right now. So she's junior. She's got these classes with a couple of these girls. They're not her people, but they're in like six of her classes. And, you know, she's like, well, I could either not talk to them and I just sit there all, by myself, or I could like be professional, at least like kind of, be their friends and like just so I'm not by myself and awkward. And then I've got like, but there's a price to pay for that. Like the price that she's paying is that they're very needy and they're very insecure. And they're like, well, you're going to go talk to your other friend. Why are
Mhm.
you going over to talk to your other friend? Why didn't you tell us? Like very much like needy, insecure, like all this stuff. And it's like, and she, it was hard. It's hard for her because I'm proud of her because she's doing something like you got to figure that this is just like being in a job. You're gonna
Yeah.
have people you like, you're gonna have people that you're gonna tolerate.
Yep.
So it's not like she's not doing her true will. She's
Hmm.
doing it with grace.
And at
Like
16, mind you.
yes,
That's the
yes.
thing that always gets me is like when we talk about
Mm-hmm.
trend, this girl's 16 and doing this. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
how's it
Yeah, she had
feel
a
to
little
have healthy parents, dude?
right, right.
Jesus. Well, at least
Well,
parents that are doing the work.
I was gonna say I don't know if I want to like climb on that horse quite
I
yet,
know.
but like
At least you
that's a
guys are
lot.
doing the work though. Like, had you gotta give yourself credit for that because I'm like, your child's a literal walking example of it. Your child is handling conflict resolution in a relationship right now, going through
Mhm.
the fear of being alone while also like trying to not make somebody feel, while also people pleasing.
Right, right. So it was very interesting because it's
Mm.
like she came in and had a little like frustration session with us, and it was kind of good. And I was like, and at first, like as a parent, you want to fix it, right? Like you
Oh
automatically
yeah.
want to fix it, and it's like, I don't know, that's okay. It's okay that you're like this, and it's okay that I know. She's like, yeah, I could like not hang out with him, or I could like tell them what I feel, or I could, but they're really not at that level.
Hmm.
So what's the point?
Yeah. What good is it gonna do, right?
Right, right. Like I'm not gonna tell the aunt that it has to like not come in my house because like it's not gonna listen to me.
Mm.
Instead, you get traps and you kill them. But which
Yeah.
I also feel bad about. I
Yeah.
do try to talk to them and go, listen, I get it's spring, I get it's new, like, but you can't be in my house.
Yeah, and I feel like the hard the hard part with that too is like what we've learned, is the more that you become healed, we talked about this, the healing journey it can be isolating at first, especially because you end up losing a lot of things that no longer align with your energy, your vibration,
Hmm.
where you're going, your paths change, and that can be really hard, but I you have to create that space for new because new will come in. It's really hard in the moment.
No, it is really hard in the moment, and it's one of those things where you learn to cut it off when you need to, when the expiration date is at like now.
Mhm.
Because the problem is if you stick with it, it's going to end like an explosion. Like you could walk away from it at the expiration date, but if you kept it in your fridge for long enough, it's going to explode
Yeah.
and be really gross.
Mhm.
And that's what happens with either relationships or um ideas, uh, any of those stuff that we keep in ourself that we are trying to get rid of or need to be let go of.
Right. Absolutely. Um, okay. My next tip is I hear Nicole in my head. I'll tell you a second. Sorry. Squirrel. Detaching from we got to start detaching from spiritual consumerism. Um,
Oh, yeah, that's the truth.
you are the only thing required. You are the only ingredient required in magic. And it
Right.
reminds me of, I don't know if you guys remember when we talked about high magic with Nicole. She said if you were on a island with nothing but yourself, you should be able to do magic on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
we don't need everything that we're
No.
told we need
Right.
to do the things that we need to do.
Do they help? Yes.
Are they pretty?
Yes.
Yes.
But the thing is like if you've ever watched Harry Potter and you know how they at first when they're going through the younger stages and they have to like move their wand and practice that, not only the words coming out of their mouth, to when they're in their seventh year, all they have to do is think it
Hmm.
and it happens.
Good example.
That's the difference, right? Like the solid things that you're buying is meant to be a representative of the thing that's not there
Hmm.
that you're supposed to use. So you use them like training wheels. They're like training. Like you don't,
Yes.
yeah, you don't need herbs and stones and all that kind of stuff. But does it help your conscious get into the right vibration and in the right realm to do the work that you need to do? Yes. Now, where it gets bad is where you, oh, like I have 16, tarot card decks. Do I use any of them? I use one, and it's still the Rider Waite. Like,
Yeah, right.
uh,
I mean, it's they are training wheels because sometimes I still see one of my favorite decks is the Oracle deck. I cannot remember what it's called right now for some reason, but sometimes I'll see them pop in my head, the cards,
hmm
when it like it's
hmm
supposed to be what I'm thinking about or what I need to talk about in the conversation with somebody, they'll pop in my head. And because I know those cards so well, they'll like, I'm like, oh, it's this that's
Yeah.
going on for you.
Yeah.
It's no
hmm
longer, I don't need it in front of me to read for you. It's in here now. I could just
Yeah.
read it in
Yeah.
here.
You're like, no, no, hold on, let me shuffle.
Yep. I'm like, click my temple right here, just touch it. Um, I like this next one because I have a really good example of it too. Another tip is going to be reading different perspectives than your own, reading or listening to different perspectives other than your own. Like trying to listen to different podcasts or watch different videos. I have two really good examples. One spiritual, one not. One good spiritual one, thanks to Nicole, is Teal Swan. We talked about her before. I'm sure you guys have heard me say this if you've been listening for a while. Teal Swan was really fucking hard for me at first.
Oh God.
She's even talked about it. She says things that are hard to hear that people need to hear. Um, but I wasn't ready to look at it. And on top of it, I was so in my fear-based programming that I'm not ready for that. Like that scares me. Like that's too much. That's this, that's whatever excuse I wanted to come up with. She was a different perspective that really helped to open my mind. Um,
hmm
another one that's a little more 3D for me, still kind of emotional, but um I am a becoming a stepmom and there is a lot of mom programming out there that I'm encountering. A lot of
hmm
mom programming and a lot of
hmm
contradicting mom programmings and it has been interesting to still be third party too. And there is a blog that I read called Blended Family, and I really like it because they talk about they're like us in a way where they kind of mix all these different beliefs together to where I had to help um I've had to help a lot with my stepdaughter, future stepdaughter, whatever the case may be. At this point, she's essentially my stepdaughter. And I've had to help a lot with teaching new behaviors, teaching how to handle emotions, how to be okay, how to name them, things like that. And I was taught as a kid that you don't feel those emotions. You have to be good, you have to be behaved, you have to be
hmm
poised. You are not allowed to have emotions in public. And at home, if you have emotions, you're in trouble because how dare you have emotions? And that's not to blame anybody. It's just what happened. And now there's a big movement of gentle parenting where you never curb the emotion, you never help to correct the emotion or help to put it in a place that feels you talk about it, you talk about it, you talk about it, you talk gently and you over explain. And while that can be good and while the other one can be good for others, I have found for myself that the blend of the two works very nicely. Um,
hmm
and that is hard because there is a huge mom program out there. There's one way to be a mom, and if you're not doing it, you're not being a good mom. And
That's exact.
especially as a step parent, you are not the mom. So how dare you try to be the mom?
hmm
There's a lot that goes into this, a lot of layers. But reading different perspectives than my own has helped me to be a better person in this child's village.
hmm
Having like gentle parenting parents talk about their experiences and how they help to punish or deal with children that are having hard emotions or don't want to do something that would be for their best benefit for now. It's helped me to become a much better part of the village that's helping my stepdaughter.
hmm
Sorry, that was a lot, but I think reading different perspectives other than your own can really help you to get really like take away all the dirt around the put the down to the core of like what feels good for you.
Yeah, I mean, like the only way that you can form a true opinion is if you have all the puzzle pieces, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to, like, I was thinking about this the other day because, like, I came across the statement that all white people are racist. And I thought about this for a minute and I was like, well, if I just say no, that automatically makes me a racist. So then I'm not going to say that. But then I realized I don't have enough information to even debate the topic one way or the other. So it's led me down a path that I'm really thankful for because it has kind of opened my eyes to the subtlety of it that's happening, a layer of it almost. Not only that, but like um it it's the perspective of actually going through and diving deep and researching, those kind of things so that way you can have an intelligent opinion on it instead of just being like, well, no, I'm not.
Yeah. That's a good
I'm like,
example.
I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah,
I
because
know I don't want to be it, but I don't know how to, do you know what I
yeah, but
mean?
I
Like,
don't
I
know
don't,
like how to not be it in a way because I don't know all of the history and
right.
the ways that I could be doing that
Mm-hmm.
without knowing that I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I think this is one of the things that you and I are really good at is that we start to like, even when we started to do the podcast and we call it Heathens for the People, well, I literally looked up heathens to see what it meant because
me
in
too.
my head, I had an idea of what I thought it meant, but I
Yep.
had no words. Like I needed the dictionary to be like, oh, a starting point, a seed
Hmm.
of it, right?
Well, like another good example too for this is that um Nicole started listening to is a Christian preacher who fills stadiums. And she was like, no, there's something in
Joel,
this.
was it Joel
Joel Osteen.
Osteen? That's it.
And immediately I was like, that nope, Joel Osteen's scary. I don't want nothing to do with that. Like I am away from that. I have deprogrammed from Christianity. I'm now over here and I'm far on this side and there are boundaries. And then all of a sudden it was like, I don't know. I think she's got something to this. And I think we need to understand this and look into this because she's not wrong. The man fills stadiums every single fucking Sunday. There's
Mhm.
something there.
I mean, his morals are none of my business, right? But there's
Right.
clearly something there that's in his writings, his teachings um to at least look at.
Yeah, and whether
To
they're
just
good or bad
look
is
at.
just perspective.
Right,
Pish
right.
posh.
Well, it's that whole statement about not throwing out the baby with the bathwater,
Oh, yep. Good statement.
right? And if that was, that's one of those things that the only reason I did put time into it is because Damien told me. The first book he ever told me to read was The Power of something. One of his books. Shit. The Power, it wasn't The Power Now, because that's Eckhart
That's
Tolle,
Eckhart.
right? Right.
Yes, that's my man's.
That's your man. Um, oh wait, I can look at it this way. I gotta figure out how to spell Joel. Oh my God,
Joel.
he's got a podcast, right?
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not signing up for it, but The Power of I Am,
Oh, yes.
which is a beautifully written book. Now, I read it on Edible.
Well,
I read it on an Edible. No, I listened to it on Audible,
yes.
and he does read his own, so it might be better for you to like read it. But what I really appreciated about it was his enthusiasm and his joy and his positivity. And I really admire that type. It was really good to read and it really made me think about things.
It's so funny. That goes right into another one of my tips too, is read more books that can be eye-opening. Books can
Absolutely.
be immensely helpful in opening our eyes and improving the quality of our lives. So read books that challenge your opinions and beliefs, because
Absolutely.
that's going to get you out of the spiritual programming. It's going to get you into a more, again, there's a diamond in the middle. We got all this layer of shit. People just keep trying to put more shit on it because getting now that diamond's gonna be so good, dude. So we're just chipping away at the shit, belief by
Hmm.
belief, So
And, this isn't like a weekend kind of thing. This is a whole life thing.
really,
You're not in a hurry. We're not
damn it.
trying to, yeah, no, mm-mm. Sorry,
I
sorry,
thought there
push the
was a
button.
finish line.
Yeah, it's called, no, I don't even think it's called that. So,
No, it's not even called that. I don't even know what it's called.
I don't
Um,
know. I'll let you know if I find something that resembles a finish line.
yeah, please do.
But the
Um,
more I go in, the more I realize how expansive it is.
I have a few more before we end this, but the next one I have is try being brave and speaking up about minor issues you see differently, other than the popular opinion. Um, See what happens and see what it can cause. Because you might be surprised by what that breadcrumb can do for others. How many
Hmm.
others might have experienced the same thing as you, but they're also scared because, again, programming comes from fear, and there's this
Hmm.
fear behind being different and having different experiences. So try to be
Yeah,
brave. Try to speak up when you can. Make sure you want it, if you want to make sure you feel respectful about it, just say it in a way that feels respectful.
absolutely.
It's gonna be scary.
Always scary. If you're not scared, you're not doing it right.
Oof. True. Um, my next to last one is stop giving your power away to external authorities. We're taught to doubt ourselves as children and do only what external authority commands us to do, and we don't trust ourselves because of it.
Mhm.
Stop it.
You're an adult.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's true for you and what's not. Um,
Hmm.
okay, my last one that I have, we talk about this a lot. I know, but I'm going to say it again, and I'll say it again. Develop mindfulness, okay? Learning how to be mindfulness is of the present moment is absolutely necessary to break away from conditioning. And reason being is because you're simply able to respond consciously and spontaneously to what's happening to you instead of reacting unconsciously or out of habit.
Yep.
So practice mindfulness. That's going to get you out of this programming too, because you're not just going to be firing off a visceral response because that's what you're used to saying.
Hmm. Actually, stop and think.
Yep.
Mhm.
And that's what your girls got on tips.
There we go.
Tips, tips, tips.
I like the whole thing. I don't like the. Just kidding. I like the tip.
Yeah, man. I think
What
this
are we
is
doing next week?
well, really quick. I was going to say, just to reiterate what Nicole said, this isn't your weekend one night workshop. This is like something you're probably going to be doing for the rest of your life because it's just not going to go anywhere. Um, so don't rush it like everything that we talk about. Um, Next week we're doing, oh, that was this week. Next week we are doing weaknesses and strength.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
Mhm. I think that'll go along well with this.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, all right, peeps. We hope you have a good week and we'll see you later.
Bye, Heathens.